The rain pattered on the old tiled roof in the outskirts of Seattle, where Zane Drift lived quietly like a ghost. He bent down, gripping a hammer firmly as he nailed a piece of rotten wood. Mrs. Mira Loon stood below, looking up with a gentle smile, holding a steaming cup of coffee. "Thank you, Zane. No one has cared about this roof since my husband passed away." Her voice trembled, mingling with the chilly wind blowing in from Washington Lake. Zane nodded, not saying much. He liked it that way, staying away from the noisy city with its neon-lit skyscrapers, where his past as a spy haunted him like an unhealed scar. Zane was once a top agent of the secret organization Shadow Veil, specializing in hunting down underground forces. After his last mission in Eastern Europe, he retired, choosing a simple life here, repairing Mrs. Mira's shed was his way of forgetting the sleepless nights filled with guns and blood. Mrs. Mira spoke of her daughter, Eden Quill, a busy FBI agent in Washington, D.C. She often calls, but rarely visits. "It's her job," she sighed, her eyes distant. Zane listened, his hands still deftly working. He shared little about his hobby of fishing by the lake, but kept his past hidden. To him, Mrs. Mira was like a second mother, bringing a rare warmth. That afternoon, the phone rang loudly in the small kitchen. Mrs. Mira picked it up, her initially cheerful voice quickly turning to panic. A deep male voice, claiming to be a bank employee, announced that her account had been hacked. "You need to install this app immediately, or your savings will vanish," he threatened. With limited tech knowledge, Mrs. Mira trembled as she complied. Zane watched from the window, seeing her awkwardly typing the password on the old computer. He knocked on the door to ask, but she waved him off. "It's fine, dear. Just a small matter, at a scam center in Portland, not far from Seattle." Talon Reyes laughed loudly as the screen displayed Mrs. Mira's account information. $1 million from her retirement fund, a gold mine, he exclaimed, ordering his accomplices to exploit it. They used the wrong money transfer trick, sending a fake transaction of $20,000, then begging her to transfer back the excess money. Mrs. Mira, fearing for her memories stored on the computer, hurriedly complied. Within minutes, all her assets, including the charity fund for orphaned children, were wiped clean. The call abruptly ended, and Mrs. Mira collapsed on the floor, clutching her chest. Zane returned to Mrs. Mira's house that evening, bringing a box of homemade cookies as promised. He knocked on the door, calling her name, but silence enveloped him. A bad feeling crept in, and he pushed the door open. The living room was dark, the faint smell of gunpowder lingering. Mrs. Mira lay motionless on the floor, an old gun beside her. Blood stained the carpet dark red. Zane stood frozen, his grip tightening on the box of cookies until it crumbled. The pain tore through him, that gentle woman, a victim of insatiable greed. Just then, Eden Quill walked in. She had just flown in from D.C. to visit her mother after an emergency meeting. Seeing Zane standing there with a sorrowful expression, she misunderstood. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" she shouted, drawing her gun. Without letting Zane explain, she handcuffed him and pushed him out to the car. "My mother, what did you do to her?" Tears brimmed in her eyes, her voice breaking. Zane remained silent, only whispering, "I'm sorry." At the Seattle police station, Eden interrogated Zane. "I am Zane Drift. I was just helping her with home repairs." But Eden did not believe him, insisting he was the culprit. Her colleague, Jax Hale, tried to reassure her it could be a suicide. "Eden, the initial report suggests that..." Eden shook her head. Her eyes red. My mother loved life. Someone pushed her to this point. The investigation results came quickly. No gunpowder residue on Zane's hands. Fingerprints on the gun matched Mrs. Mira's. Everything pointed to suicide. Eden, despite her pain, was forced to release him. Zane left the station, his gaze contemplative under the Seattle rain. The tragedy of Mrs. Mira awakened the beast within him. He knew the scammers had to pay. Back at the shed, Zane opened a hidden safe, pulling out a silenced gun, a dagger, and an encrypted laptop. He contacted Shadow Vale through a secret line. I need information. The scam network in Portland. The female voice on the line hesitated. You're retired. Zane. But he interrupted Mrs. Mira is worth more. Information came. The center in Portland, run by Talon Reyes, was part of a larger network leading to Mexico. Zane checked his gear, his gaze cold. The peaceful life was over. The fire of revenge ignited. Which area are you listening to this story from? And what time is it where you are right now? Leave a comment below so I know you are still healthy and fully focused on this story. My dear friend, we will continue right after this. The cold moonlight shone through the shed window in the outskirts of Seattle, where Zane Drift sat in front of his laptop screen, his fingers gliding quickly over the keyboard. He hacked into the bank system through an encrypted line, tracing unusual transactions from Mrs. Mira Lune's account. The data appeared a series of transfers leading to a shell company in Portland called Nexus Tech Solutions. Zane clenched his fists, his anger boiling. These people were not just stealing money, they were stealing lives. He checked his gear, a silenced gun, a sharp dagger, and a few vials of flammable chemicals. The old truck roared to life, and he plunged into the rainy night, heading towards Portland. Talon Reyes. He whispered the name of the manager from the information provided by Shadow Vale. You are the first. In the Seattle FBI office, Eden Quill sat at her desk, the fluorescent lights casting a painful glow on her face. She flipped through the investigation report regarding her mother's death. Her eyes red. Suicide, no way, she murmured. Recalling Zane's words at the station, she was scammed. Jax Hale walked in, bringing 2 cups of coffee. Eden, you need to take a break. But I checked, Mrs. Mira's account was drained through suspicious transactions, leading to Nexus Tech in Portland. Eden jumped up, putting on her jacket. I'm going there. If Zane Drift knows anything, he's hiding it. Jax shook his head. Be careful. Eden. He's not an ordinary guy. His record is spotless. Like a ghost. Zane parked his car in a dark alley in Portland, not far from the Nexus Tech building. The low-rise building had a neon sign flickering in the drizzle, hiding the dark truth inside. He observed from a distance 4 guards patrolled the main gate, handguns peeking from their hips. With skills honed during his training at Shadow Vale, Zane slipped through the barbed wire fence, dodging security cameras by firing a small laser to divert them. One guard suddenly turned around, suspicion in his eyes. Zane lunged like a ghost, locking his arm around the man's neck, tightening until he passed out. He dragged the body into the bushes, his heart beating calmly. 1. He counted silently. Inside the building, dozens of employees sat in front of screens, sweet voices luring victims over the phone. Just send the OTP, and your money will be safe. One guy said, grinning maliciously. Zane hid in a corner, his blood boiling. These people were just like those who had pushed Mrs. Mira into despair. He stepped out, his voice cold. Hang up. All of you. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to the tall man in the wet black coat. One panicking employee pressed the alarm button, but Zane threw a dagger, pinning his hand to the wooden table. A scream erupted. Blood splattering. Talon Reyes pushed open the office door. His face twisted with rage. "Who the hell are you to dare?" he bellowed, signaling his henchmen to draw their guns. Zane smiled faintly. "I am Zane Drift. You killed Mrs. Mira Loon." A fatal mistake. Without waiting for a reaction, he threw a smoke grenade from his bag, filling the room with thick white smoke. Gunfire erupted, but Zane had already moved. Quick as lightning. One henchman charged at him with a knife. He dodged the slash, kicking hard into the man's knee. The sound of breaking bones cracking. The man fell, and Zane punched him square in the face. Blood spraying. 2. The second man raised his handgun. Firing wildly, Zane rolled behind a desk, dodging bullets, then sprang up, grabbing the guy by the collar and smashing his head into the shattered computer screen. Shards of glass flew everywhere, and the guy collapsed. Talon panicked, drawing his pistol and firing into the smoky haze. Zane dodged a bullet that grazed his shoulder, charging forward, twisting Talon's arm until the gun fell. "Who's behind you?" he roared, pressing the knife against his throat. Talon stammered, sweat pouring down Draven Voss. "He's in Mexico City. I'm just a small fry, Zane." Impatient. Punched Talon hard in the stomach, making him double over. He sprayed flammable chemicals all over the room, the smell of gasoline overwhelming. The remaining employees rushed to escape through the back door, but Zane did not pursue. He lit a match. The flames erupted violently, consuming the furniture, computers, and the filthy dreams of the scammers. Zane left the building as the fire spread, the bright red light illuminating the night sky of Portland. He vanished into the dark alley, leaving behind a whispered warning: "Don't mess with the vulnerable again." In the truck heading back to Seattle, he checked the grazed wound on his shoulder, blood soaking his shirt. Information from Talon Draven Voss, the mastermind in Mexico. The hunt had just begun. Eden and Jax arrived at the scene as the fire department was extinguishing the flames. Black smoke billowed high, and a surviving witness trembled as he described. A tall gringo, moving like a professional assassin, burned everything down. Eden clenched her fists. "It's Zane Drift." Jax shook his head. "This isn't an ordinary fire. He's taking revenge." Eden looked at the wreckage. Her heart conflicted. She was angry that Zane had broken the law, but part of her understood her mother didn't deserve to die because of greed. Jax opened his laptop. "Transactions from here lead to Mexico City. If Zane is targeting that, we must act." Eden nodded, her gaze resolute. "I will track him down. I'm flying to Mexico right away." At a luxurious villa in Mexico City, Talon Reyes video called Draven Voss, his voice frantic. "The Portland building is burnt to the ground. A crazy guy took out all the security." Draven, sitting in a dark room with a cigar, frowned. "Handle it." Talon, "I'm not paying to hear you whine." But when Talon described Zane, Draven grew worried. He ordered his mercenaries to gather, find, and kill him. The network must not fall. Draven was the son of a Senator Vesper Kane, the mastermind behind the global scam. He had no idea who he was facing. Zane returned to the Seattle shed, checking messages from Shadow Vale. "Draven Voss is in Mexico City. Be careful. There are assassins after you." He closed the laptop, his gaze cold. A plane to Mexico awaited him, but he sensed danger approaching. The Seattle rain continued to fall, a reminder of Mrs. Mira. The battle was not over. The scorching morning sun of Seattle shone through the windshield of the truck. Zane Drift, gripping the steering wheel tightly, his eyes scanning the rearview mirror. He felt someone was watching, a black sedan keeping its distance. lurking like a ghost. Since the Portland incident, Shadow Vale had warned of mercenaries, but his instincts told him this was not them. He turned into a roadside cafe, where the strong smell of espresso mingled with the noisy traffic, stopping the truck. He entered, choosing a secluded corner table, ordering a black coffee with no sugar. They are getting closer, he thought, his hand brushing the handle of the knife hidden in his coat. Eden Quill parked a distance away, her heart pounding. She and Jax Hale had been tracking Zane since the police station, using traffic cameras and the GPS tracker secretly placed on his car. He knows we're following, Jax whispered through the radio. Eden turned off the radio and walked into the cafe. The dim light from the hanging lamps illuminated her face, filled with conflict. She sat across from Zane, pulling out her FBI badge. Zane Drift. We need to talk. Zane raised an eyebrow, not surprised. About Mrs. Mira, or the fire in Portland. His voice was deep, but sharp as a knife. Eden tightened her grip on the coffee cup, trying to hold back tears. My mother died because of them. But you don't have the right to act as judge. That fire, witnesses described you exactly. Zane looked straight into her eyes, his gaze heavy with sorrow. The law is slow. Eden. Mrs. Mira called me her son. She lost everything, pushed to suicide. I couldn't sit idly by. He briefly recounted the scam call, the drained account, her despair. Eden listened, her heart in turmoil. She remembered her mother's smile, the late-night calls from D.C. Why didn't you report to the FBI? We could have caught them. Zane shook his head. Because the mastermind is in Mexico City. Draven Voss. He has power, hidden behind politics. Eden was stunned. The name Draven matched the data Jax had found. Are you going alone? That's suicide. Zane stood up, leaving money for the coffee. Justice doesn't wait. Don't follow me. Eden. It's dangerous. He left the cafe, disappearing into the flow of traffic. Eden informed Jax he's heading to the airport, flying to Mexico. Jax sighed. Eden. He's not a bad guy, but he's crossed the line. We need evidence. They rushed to Seattle-Tacoma Airport, but Zane had boarded the plane early, using fake documents from Shadow Vale on the flight. Zane checked the map of Mexico City, his gaze cold. Draven's lair was in the downtown area, hidden under the guise of a financial company. He dozed off, dreaming of Mrs. Mira, her gentle smile fading into flames. The plane landed in Mexico City late in the afternoon. The humid air mixed with the smell of car exhaust and street food. Zane rented an old Jeep, moving through narrow streets where colorful graffiti-covered walls concealed poverty. He stopped at a shabby hotel on the outskirts. Checking messages from Shadow Vale, Draven Voss is at the Coyoacan Villa. Heavy mercenaries. Talon Reyes survived, seeking revenge. Zane clenched his fists. Talon had escaped the Portland fire and was now Draven's henchman. He prepared a silenced gun, rope, and jamming devices. As night fell, he drove to Coyoacan, an old neighborhood with lush trees and sturdy villas. Draven Voss's villa appeared, high electric fences and cameras scanning continuously. Zane observed from the bushes, counting 6 mercenaries patrolling, AR-15 rifles peeking out. He activated the jamming device, causing the cameras to flicker. Slipping through the fence, he took down the first man with a neck strike, dragging the body into the shadows. "One," he whispered. Moving deeper, laughter and chatter echoed from inside. Talon Reyes was video conferencing with Draven. Zane hid behind a stone wall, listening. "Drift will die here," Talon growled, bandaging his burns from Portland. Zane dashed into a side hallway, dodging a mercenary by climbing onto the red-tiled roof. From above, he jumped down, locking the second man's neck, tightening until he passed out. Inside the villa, the luxurious interior with art and expensive wine concealed the server room. Zane hacked the door and entered the central room. Employees were making scam calls, voices mixing Spanish and English. Provide the password, and the money will be refunded. One guy said. Zane stepped out. Stop. The whole room panicked. Talon Reyes turned around, eyes wide. A battle erupted. Talon drew his handgun, firing wildly. Zane rolled behind a wooden table, dodging bullets, then sprang up, throwing a dagger that struck Talon's shoulder. Blood sprayed, and he screamed. Two mercenaries charged in, one wielding a machete. Zane dodged the slash, kicking hard into the stomach. The sound of cracking ribs echoing. The second guy raised his gun, but Zane grabbed his hand, twisting it back, then delivering a hook to the jaw. Teeth flew. Talon, despite his injury, lunged with a short knife. Swinging horizontally, Zane dodged, blood grazing his cheek. He countered with a steel punch to Talon's chest, sending him sprawling. "Who's behind Draven?" Zane roared, pressing the gun to his forehead. Talon laughed mockingly. "Draven is Vesper Kane's son. A senator. He's in Paris. France. You can't reach him." Zane wasted no time, tying Talon to a chair, spraying flammable chemicals all over the room. The fire erupted, consuming the servers and data. He left the villa as the flames spread, the sound of sirens fading in the distance. In the jeep racing into the Mexican night, he checked his wounds, blood soaking his shirt. New information: Draven was in Paris, but he sensed Eden was getting closer. Was she flying to Mexico too late? Eden and Jax landed in Mexico City. Receiving reports of the fire at the Coyoacan villa, they rushed to the scene. Black smoke billowing high. Witnesses described a tall gringo taking out all the guards. Eden clenched her fists. Zane. Jax checked. Transactions lead to Paris. He's hunting the mastermind. Eden nodded, her heart full of conflict. We must get to Paris before more deaths occur. But part of her wondered, is Zane a hero? Or just a ghost of destruction? The thick smoke from the Coyoacan villa fire still lingered in the sweltering air of Mexico City. Zane Drift sped through the narrow streets in his jeep, his heart calm but senses on high alert. The blood from the gash on his cheek had dried, forming a new scar that reminded him of Talon Reyes, the man who had survived and was surely reporting to Draven Voss. He stopped the vehicle at a black market area, where the noise of street vendors mixed with the smell of grilled tacos and cigarette smoke. Zane bought a disposable phone and contacted Shadowvale. "Is Talon dead? Draven is in Paris. Need the exact address." A cold female voice on the line replied, "Talon is alive, severely injured. Draven's villa is in Montmartre, Paris. But he sent assassins. Be careful." Zane nodded to himself and put away the phone. He knew Draven wouldn't sit idle after the Portland incident, and now in Mexico, his instincts warned him that danger was approaching. The roar of a motorcycle engine sounded from afar. 3 burly men in black leather jackets charged from a dark alley, handguns in hand. Draven sends his regards. One of them shouted in Spanish, firing his weapon. Zane rolled behind a stall, dodging bullets as glass shattered around him. He sprang up, kicking a crate into the face of the first man, the sound of breaking bones echoing. The man fell backward, and Zane grabbed his collar, delivering a powerful punch to his stomach that made him vomit. The second man lunged at him with a curved dagger, slashing horizontally. Zane dodged, feeling the blade graze his shirt, tearing the fabric. He countered with an uppercut, teeth flying along with blood. The third man raised his gun, firing wildly. Zane used the first man's body as a shield. Bullets thudding into flesh. He threw a knife from his pocket, embedding it straight into the man's hand, causing the gun to drop. Charging forward, Zane locked his arm around the man's neck, tightening his grip. "Who sent you?" he growled. The man stammered. "Draven. From Paris." "He knows you're coming." Zane knocked him out, leaving him motionless. The market was in chaos, people running in all directions. Zane jumped into the jeep and sped away before the local police arrived. 3. He counted silently. Blood smeared on his hands. At Benito Juarez Airport in Mexico City, Eden Quill and Jax Hale landed late, the hot air clinging to their sweaty skin. They received reports from local police about the villa fire and the brawl at the black market. Description matches Zane Drift. Jax said, opening his laptop to check. Eden clenched her fists. Filled with anger mixed with empathy, he's hunting Draven in Paris. We have to get there before he turns into a serial killer. Jax nodded. But Eden. Zane's file. He was an agent. Maybe CIA or an underground organization. He's not easy to catch. They boarded an emergency flight to Paris. Eden, gazing out the window, remembering Zane's words at the cafe, "Justice doesn't wait." She wondered if the law could truly be fast enough to save victims like her mother. Zane arrived at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris in the early morning. The city illuminated by golden lights but failing to hide the cold atmosphere. He rented a motorcycle, navigating through the narrow cobblestone streets of Montmartre, where Draven's villa was hidden behind lush trees and a tall iron fence. Stopping in a concealed spot, he observed 8 mercenaries patrolling, rifles and guard dogs. Shadowvale sent a message. Draven is meeting with Riven Slade, a former security advisor. There's female assassin Sable Nix protecting him. Zane checked his bag, a silencer, a dagger, and smoke grenades. He activated a jamming device, causing the dogs to bark wildly while the cameras went dead. Sneaking through the back garden, Zane took down the first soldier with a silent neck strike, dragging the body into the bushes. Entering the villa, the lavish interior was adorned with fake Picasso paintings and deep red French wine. Inside the meeting room, Draven Voss was shouting on the phone to his mother. "Vesper Kane, Mom. That drift guy burned Mexico." "Save me," Vesper coldly replied. "Riven will handle it. Don't disappoint your mother." Riven Slade, the former agent, nodded. "I'm sending Sable Nix. She will kill him." Zane stepped into the main hallway, where the scam workers were still operating through screens. "Provide credit card information, and we will protect you," a voice said. Zane threw a smoke grenade, and the room became hazy. The mercenaries charged in, gunfire erupting. Zane dodged bullets, taking down the first man with a knife to the shoulder, blood spraying. The second man swung a metal rod. Zane dodged, delivering a powerful kick to his knee. The sound of cracking bone echoing. The hand-to-hand combat was intense. Zane used close combat martial arts, delivering a flurry of punches to the chest of the third man, causing him to collapse. Sable Nix emerged from the shadows, a long-haired assassin with a gleaming curved dagger. "Drift, your time is up," she mocked, lunging to slash. The knife fight was over in a flash. Sable slashed horizontally. Zane dodged, the blades clashing and sparking. She kicked high, and he blocked with his hand, pain shooting through him. Zane countered with a steel punch to her stomach, forcing Sable to retreat. "You're stronger than I thought," she growled, slashing vertically. Zane rolled, grabbing her leg and pulling her down. The knife fell, and the two wrestled on the glossy wooden floor. Sable choked him, her nails tearing at his skin. Zane pushed her away, punching her in the face, blood streaming from her nose. "Tell me, where is Draven?" He pressed the knife to her throat. Sable laughed. "He's hiding in the basement. But you won't escape." Zane tied up Sable and headed down to the basement. Draven, panicking, pulled out a handgun and fired wildly. Zane dodged, lunging to twist his arm. "Who is behind the network?" he growled, pressing the gun to his temple. Draven stammered. "My mother. Vesper Kane. She uses money to cover up. Spare me." Zane didn't shoot but hacked the server, downloading evidence data. He poured a chemical accelerant and ignited the basement. Flames erupted, and Draven screamed. Zane left the villa as the fire spread, disappearing into the Paris night. But he knew Vesper Kane would send more troops. The hunt was not over. Eden and Jax arrived in Paris, receiving news of the Montmartre villa fire. "It's Zane," Eden said, her heart racing. Jax checked. "The data leads to Vesper Kane in the U.S. If Zane targets her, there will be war." Eden nodded. "We have to find him. But this time, perhaps we should cooperate." The black smoke from the Montmartre villa in Paris still lingered in the cold night air. Zane Drift sped through the narrow cobblestone streets, the wind cutting against his face. He sensed danger. The roar of a motorcycle engine chased him from afar, headlights flashing like wolf eyes. Draven Voss had surely survived the fire, and he wouldn't let Zane escape easily. He turned sharply into a dark alley, turning off his headlights. Hiding behind a metal dumpster, his heart beat steadily, his hand brushing the hilt of his dagger. "They're coming," he thought, his agent instincts telling him these were professional mercenaries. At the fire scene, Eden Quill stood amidst the rubble, the red glow of firelights illuminating her conflicted face. Jax Hale examined the bodies of mercenaries scattered around Zane, took them down, but Draven Voss has vanished. He may have escaped through a tunnel. Eden clenched her fists. Recalling the data Zane downloaded, evidence linking Vesper Kane, the U.S. Senator, covering for her son. "He's doing what we can't, but it's too dangerous. We have to find Zane before Draven sends more troops." Jax nodded, opening the FBI radio, requesting support from Interpol. Zane Drift may be on the run, but Eden knew. Zane was a ghost, harder to catch than Draven, in a villa not far from Montmartre. Draven Voss sat trembling in a leather chair, burn marks from the fire reddening his arm. He chain-smoked, video calling Riven Slade. "That Drift guy burned the basement. He has data. My mother will kill me. Riven," his voice cold and deep, replied, "Calm down, Draven. I'm sending a hunting team, 4 guys from the Eastern Bloc, led by Ivan Korv, a knife expert. They will kill him on his way out of Paris." Draven roared, "Do it. The network can't collapse because of a madman. He was Vesper Kane's son, using political money to build a fraudulent empire." But now fear consumed him. Zane heard a car stop at the alley entrance. 4 dark figures stepping out, handguns and knives glinting under the dim streetlights. Ivan Korv, a tall man with a scar across his face, signaled, "Find him. Draven wants his head." They spread out, their footsteps light like hunting leopards. Zane waited for the right moment, leaping from the shadows and delivering a powerful kick to the back of the nearest man. The sound of breaking bones echoed as the man fell face first into the dirty ground. "One," Zane whispered. The second man spun around, raising his gun. Zane dodged a bullet that whizzed past his ear, grabbing the man's hand and twisting his elbow backward. The sound of a painful scream mixed with the clatter of falling metal. He landed an uppercut, and the man collapsed. blood pouring from his mouth. Ivan Korv mocked from a distance. "You're quick. Drift. But my knife is quicker." He drew a curved hunting knife, the gleaming blade rushing toward him like the wind. The knife fight erupted in the dark alley. The sound of metal clashing and sparking. Ivan slashed at Zane's abdomen. Zane dodged back, the knife grazing his shirt and tearing flesh. Warm blood flowing. He countered with a vertical slash. Ivan blocked, the force pushing them both back. "Draven is paying a high price for your head." Ivan growled, kicking low at Zane's legs. Zane jumped to avoid it, using the wall as leverage to kick back into Ivan's chest. The heavy thud echoed as the man staggered back, gasping for breath. The third man intervened, swinging a metal rod. Zane rolled to evade the blow that shattered the pavement, then sprang up, stabbing the knife into the man's thigh. Blood sprayed as the man screamed and fell. Ivan took advantage, slashing down from above. Zane blocked with his arm, pain shooting through him. But he remained undeterred. The two blades locked tightly, faces inches apart, their hot breaths mingling. "Who are you to oppose Draven?" Ivan asked, tightening his grip. Zane smirked. "The one bringing justice for Mira Loon." He drove his knee hard into Ivan's stomach, causing him to stagger back. The knife slipping from his hand, Zane charged forward, delivering a flurry of punches. An uppercut, a straight punch, then stabbing the knife into his shoulder. Ivan collapsed, blood staining the alley. The last man tried to flee, but Zane threw a knife that pinned his leg, pulling him back. "Tell me, where is Draven hiding?" the man stammered. "He flew back to America." To meet Vesper Kane, Zane tied them up, took the man's phone, and hacked to check messages. Draven was on a private jet to Washington, D.C., meeting his mother. He let them live. Justice wasn't about random killing, then sped away on his motorcycle, heading for the airport. The wound was bleeding, but the pain only sharpened his focus. Shadowvale sent a message: "Draven is heading to America. Vesper Kane is in D.C. at her suburban villa. Be careful. She has secret agents." Zane nodded, buying a last-minute flight ticket. The hunt was returning to America, the final stronghold. Eden and Jax received news of the brawl in the Montmartre alley from Interpol. They rushed over, finding injured mercenaries scattered around. Zane took them down. Jax said, examining the scene. Eden looked at the bloodstains. He survived. But Draven escaped. Data from the burned server indicates Vesper Kane is involved. She's covering for her son. Jax frowned. If Zane targets Vesper, it will clash with the U.S. government. Report to the deputy director. Eden hesitated. Not yet. We're flying back to D.C. I need to meet Zane. Perhaps he has the evidence we need. In the car, to the airport. Eden wondered, was Zane a vigilante or a hero? The pain of losing her mother made her lean toward the latter. At Orly Airport in Paris, Draven Voss boarded his private jet, his face pale. He called Vesper Kane Mom. That drift guy is coming. He knows everything. Vesper's cold voice came from D.C. Come back. I will send a protection team. But if the data leaks, you're dead. Draven trembled. Looking out the window, he didn't know Zane was on a commercial flight, just hours away from him. The Paris sky darkened, like a prophecy for the storm to come. Zane sat on the plane, bandaging his wounds temporarily, his eyes on the drifting clouds. The image of Mira appeared. You are a good person. Zane. He clenched his fists. Vesper Kane would be the final target, but she had power. Perhaps betrayal from within. The war was entering a brutal phase. and Zane knew he couldn't turn back. The evening sunlight streamed through the airplane window as Zane Drift sat silently in the back row, bandaging his makeshift wound on his shoulder. The plane shook slightly as it descended toward Washington, D.C., where Vesper Kane, the powerful senator, was hiding in her suburban villa. He checked the USB containing hacked data from the Paris villa, evidence of the fraud network she was covering for her son, Draven Voss. "She will pay," Zane whispered, his cold gaze sweeping over the surrounding passengers. Draven had flown back ahead, surely warning his mother. Shadow Vale sent an encrypted message. "Vesper has protective agents. The villa is in Virginia, with high-security fencing. Draven is there. Be careful of betrayal from within." Zane nodded, putting away his phone. The throbbing wound reminded him of the knife fight in the Paris alley, but the pain of losing Mira Loon was greater, driving him to continue. Eden Quill and Jax Hale sat on another flight, the tension palpable in the cabin. They had left Paris after the alley brawl, with evidence from Interpol confirming Zane took down 4 assassins. "He's like a killing machine," Jack said, opening his laptop to review the files. Eden gazed out at the white clouds, her heart troubled. "No. Jax. He has a motive. My mother died because of this network. The data from the USB he left in Mexico shows Vesper Kane is directly involved, using political funds to launder fraudulent money." Jax frowned. "If Zane targets her, it will clash with the elite." The deputy director ordered surveillance, but not an immediate arrest. "We need solid evidence." Eden nodded, but part of her empathized with Zane, flying to D.C. "We will find him, perhaps convince him to cooperate." Zane's plane landed at Dulles Airport late at night. The D.C. air cold with the autumn wind from the Potomac River. He rented a black sedan, driving through the wide roads, the yellow streetlights illuminating his scarred face. Vesper's villa in Virginia was 30 minutes from downtown, hidden behind dense woods and electric fencing. Zane stopped the car in a viewing area, using night vision binoculars to scan 12 agents patrolling, guard dogs, and laser cameras. Draven Voss was there, his car parked in the garage. "Perfect," Zane thought, checking his bag. A silencer, a dagger, and small smoke bombs. He sneaked through the woods, avoiding infrared tripwires, taking down a dog with a tranquilizer arrow. Inside the villa, Vesper Kane sat in her luxurious office, the desk lamp casting light on her aristocratic but cold face. Draven Voss trembled beside her, his burn bandaged. "Mom, that Drift guy knows everything. He hacked the data from Paris." Vesper slammed the table. "You fool! I've covered for you for years. And now you let a vigilante destroy everything." She called Riven Slade via video. "Send an elite team. Kill him before he gets close." Riven nodded. "Ready, ma'am." But Drift is not easy. He was a Shadow Vale agent. Vesper scoffed. "Then use a trap. I won't let the network collapse." Zane moved into the back garden, taking down the first agent with a silent chokehold, dragging the body into the bushes. Moving deeper, he heard footsteps. 2 agents rushed in with handguns. Zane threw a smoke bomb, and the garden became hazy. Gunfire erupted, but he dodged bullets, lunging at the nearest man. Close combat erupted. The man swung a fist. Zane blocked, kicking hard at his knee. The sound of breaking echoed. The second man raised his gun. Zane grabbed his hand, twisting it backward, then punched him square in the face. Blood spraying from his nose. 2. He counted silently. Draven Voss heard the commotion and panicked, running out onto the balcony. "He's coming." The remaining agents charged in, but Zane stabbed one in the shoulder, pulling him down. He hacked the back door, stepping into the dark hallway. The server room was in the basement, where Vesper stored secret data. Zane moved quietly, but a trap activated. An electric grid sprang up from the floor. He jumped to avoid it, rolling, but the electricity grazed his leg, causing sharp pain. Riven Slade emerged from the shadows, gun aimed directly at him. Drift. You've gone too far. A gunfight erupted. Riven fired rapidly. Zane ducked behind a stone pillar, firing back with a silencer, the bullet grazing Riven's shoulder. The two men engaged in close combat. Riven used military martial arts, delivering a powerful punch to Zane's chest. Zane absorbed the blow, countering with a sweeping kick, sending Riven down. Zane grabbed him by the collar. "Where's Vesper?" Zane tied up Riven and moved to the main floor. Draven Voss hid behind a table, trembling as he pulled out a handgun. "Don't come any closer!" Zane dodged the bullet, lunging to twist his arm, causing the gun to fall. "You killed Mira Loon," he growled, punching Draven in the stomach, making him collapse. Vesper Kane stepped out from a side door. Agents surrounding her. "Stop. Drift. You don't know who you're facing." Zane aimed his gun. "I know. A fraud cover-up, allowing her son to prey on the vulnerable." Vesper laughed coldly. "Justice, I am the law," she signaled, and the agents charged. The battle was fierce. Zane threw a smoke grenade, and the room became hazy. An agent swung a knife. He dodged, stabbing back into the shoulder. The scream mingled with the sound of breaking bones. The second man used a stun baton. Zane avoided it, kicking the baton away, then delivering a flurry of punches to the face. Vesper tried to flee, but Zane caught up, grabbing her hand. "This data will expose you." Draven took advantage, lunging from behind with a knife. Zane dodged, but the knife grazed his back, blood flowing. He turned, knocking Draven out, then faced Vesper. "It's over." Eden and Jax arrived at the villa as gunfire echoed. They stormed in with the SWAT team, finding bodies of agents scattered around. "Zane!" Eden shouted, aiming her gun at him. Zane looked at her, his gaze heavy with sorrow. "Eden, use this USB evidence against Vesper." He tossed the USB, then jumped through a window, disappearing into the night forest. Vesper screamed, "Catch him," but Eden hesitated, lowering her weapon. Jax checked. Draven is alive. Vesper is arrested. Zane escaped. Eden clutched the USB, her heart heavy. He did the right thing, but outside the law. The villa was engulfed in chaos as Zane plunged into the Virginia night, his wounds bleeding. The hunt was not over, but justice was close. The Virginia forest was dark, the cold autumn wind blowing through the yellowing leaves. Zane Drift ran lightly like a ghost, his breath steady despite the bleeding wound on his back. He had escaped the Vesper Kane mansion just minutes ago, throwing the evidence USB to Eden Quill, hoping she would use it to take down the network from within the law. But Zane knew the battle was not over. Draven Voss was still alive, and Vesper would send more troops. He stopped behind an ancient oak tree, checking the encrypted phone from Shadow Vale. "Vesper has sent the female assassin Sable Nix. She is in D.C. hunting you. Be careful, an expert assassin, formerly working for Riven Slade." Zane clenched his fist, his cold gaze sweeping through the darkness. "Come on," he whispered, drawing his dagger, ready for the ambush. At the Virginia mansion, Eden Quill stood amidst the chaos, the SWAT team's flashlights illuminating the rubble. She clutched the USB Zane had thrown, her heart filled with conflict. "He saved us. The evidence will expose Vesper," she said to Jax Hale, who was checking the handcuffed Draven Voss, his face pale. Jax nodded. "But Zane killed the agent." The deputy director has ordered a manhunt for him. Vesper Kane. Captured. Sneered from the patrol car. That drift guy is dead. I sent Sable Nix. She will tear him apart. Eden was stunned. Sable Nix. The Russian assassin Jax opened his laptop. Interpol records specializing in knives and poisons. Has assassinated in Moscow. If Zane is being hunted, we must find him first. They got into the car, racing into the night. Tracking Zane via GPS secretly from Paris, Eden wondered, would Zane survive? Or would he become a victim of his own wrath? Sable Nix moved silently through the Virginia forest, her tight black outfit hugging her slender body, her black hair tightly tied back, a curved knife glinting in the moonlight. She received orders from Riven Slade Killdrift before he leaks more data. With skills from her old KGB training, Sable followed the blood trail Zane left behind. Her nose catching the metallic scent of blood in the wind, she observed from afar, seeing him stop to check his wound. Delicious prey, she whispered in her heavy Russian accent, throwing a throwing knife from the shadows. Zane heard the whistling wind, rolled to avoid it, the blade embedding deeply into the oak, vibrating violently. He sprang up, aiming his silenced gun. Who? The battle erupted in the dark forest, the sound of dry leaves crunching underfoot. Sable slashed downwards. Zane dodged, their blades clashing and sparking against his dagger. She was agile, kicking high into Zane's chest, forcing him back against the tree. The old wound, throbbing painfully. Draven sends his regards. Sable mocked, striking repeatedly. Zane blocked with his arm, blood grazing his skin, then countered with a steel punch to her stomach, causing Sable to stagger back, gasping for breath. You're strong, but I'm faster, she growled, throwing poison powder from her bag. The white powder swirling in the air. Zane covered his nose, rolling to avoid it, but the powder stuck to his skin, causing a burning sensation. He lunged forward, grabbing her hair and pulling her down. The knife pressed against her throat. Did Vesper send you? Sable laughed, sweeping her leg, turning the tables, sitting on him. The knife aimed at his chest. She paid a high price for your heart. The two struggled on the damp ground, leaves flying everywhere. Sable tightened her grip around Zane's neck with her left hand, her nails tearing into his skin, blood flowing. Zane pushed her away with force, landing a hook to her jaw. The sound of teeth clashing echoing. Sable rolled away but quickly got back up, slashing horizontally at his stomach. Zane dodged late, the blade tearing his shirt, blood pouring out. He countered with a sweeping kick. Sable fell face down, and he lunged to lock her hands behind her back. Tell me, where is Vesper hiding? He growled, tightening his grip. Sable laughed in pain. She flew to Paris, a secret conference in Montmartre. Draven is following, but you won't make it in time. Zane knocked her out, tying her hands with rope from his bag. Leaving her alive, not his style, to kill women unless absolutely necessary. Zane left the forest, the new wound throbbing, blood soaking his shirt. He hacked Sable's phone, confirming Vesper and Draven were flying urgently to Paris for a meeting to cover up the leaked data. Shadowvale sent a message, confirmed Paris. Montmartre mansion. Security doubled. Zane rushed to Dulles Airport, buying a last-minute ticket. In the car, he bandaged himself temporarily. The image of Mira Loon appearing justice. Zane. He clenched his fist. Paris would be the final battle. Eden and Jax received news from Interpol about the brawl in the Virginia forest. They rushed to the scene, finding Sable Nix tied up, her face bruised. Zane did this, Jax said, handcuffing her. Sable laughed. He's heading to Paris, certain death. Eden clenched her fists. Vesper is hiding there. Inform the deputy director. We're flying after him. Jax shook his head. Eden. If Zane gets there first, there will be bloodshed. He won't stop. Eden looked at the dark forest. Maybe he's right. The law is too slow. They got in the car, heading for the airport. The plane to Paris was waiting, but Eden knew the race against time had begun. Zane had flown ahead, disappearing into the night sky of D.C. At Orly Airport in Paris, Vesper Kane landed, Draven following behind. Trembling, she stepped into a black limo, calling Riven increased security at the Montmartre mansion. Drift is coming, kill him at all costs. Riven nodded. We already have mercenaries ready. But ma'am, if the data leaks, your career is over. Vesper laughed coldly. I will bury him in Paris. The city of bright lights was unaware that a storm of revenge was about to hit. Zane sat on the plane, checking the map of Paris. His gaze determined. The wound hurt, but the fire of justice burned fiercely. He knew Sable was just the beginning. The Montmartre mansion would be hell. But for Mira, he was ready. The battle was reaching its climax. And Zane wondered, would Eden keep up? Or would she choose the side of the law? The pale yellow streetlights of Paris illuminated the cobblestone streets of Montmartre, where Zane Drift hid behind an ancient wall, observing Vesper Kane's mansion from afar. The tall mansion, with its lush garden, concealed electric fences and patrolling agents, while guard dogs barked loudly in the cold night. Zane checked the wound from the Virginia forest. The blood had dried but throbbed painfully with every movement. Draven, Voss and Vesper were there, a secret meeting to cover up the leaked data. Shadow Veil sent a message. Security doubled. Sable Nyx has been rescued by Riven Slade and is protecting Draven. Be careful. She is thirstier for blood after her failure. Zane clenched his fist, his gaze icy. This time it ends, he whispered, checking his bag. A silenced gun, a dagger, and rope. He activated the jamming device, causing the camera to flicker, then slipped through the back garden like a ghost. Inside the mansion, Vesper Kane presided over the secret meeting, the crystal chandelier casting a furious light on her face. Draven Voss trembled beside her. The burn from Paris, still painful, Mom. That Drift guy knows how to get here. He hacked all the data. Vesper slammed the table. Shut up! I have sent more troops from Moscow. Riven Slade is in charge. Sable Nyx will deal with him. Riven entered, his scarred face grim. Mom, Drift is an old Shadow Veil agent. He won't die easily. Vesper laughed coldly, then set a trap. The network must survive. The money from the fraud is my power. She did not know Zane was outside. Listening through a hidden microphone, Zane climbed onto the red-tiled roof, avoiding an agent with a silent neck strike, pulling the body down into the bushes. From above, he jumped to the second-floor balcony, hacking the glass door. Inside the dark hallway, footsteps echoed. Sable Nyx emerged from the shadows, her eyes gleaming like a hunting beast. Drift. You dare return to Paris, this time I will tear you apart, she growled, her curved knife glinting, rushing at him like lightning. Zane dodged the slash, their blades clashing and sparking in the narrow hallway. The sound of metal ringing. Sable kicked high into Zane's chest, the force pushing him against the wall. Dust and plaster falling around him. He braced himself, countering with a steel punch to her stomach, causing Sable to stagger back. Gasping for breath, she dashed out onto the balcony, Zane chasing after her. The Paris wind blew fiercely, the tiles slippery beneath their feet. Sable slashed horizontally. Zane dodged, the blade grazing his shirt and tearing through flesh. Warm blood flowing. You're getting weaker, she mocked. sweeping her leg low. Zane jumped to avoid it, grabbing her hand and pulling her to the edge of the roof. The two struggling at the brink. Sable tightened her grip around his neck with her left hand, her nails tearing into his throat. Blood spreading. Zane drove his knee hard into her side. The sound of cracking ribs echoing. Sable screamed in pain, releasing her grip, but quickly got back up to slash downwards. Zane blocked with his arm, pain shooting through him, then pushed her into an old chimney. Bricks shattering everywhere. The battle climbed higher onto the roof, the surrounding environment becoming a weapon. Sable threw broken bricks. Zane dodged, using the rope to whip across like a whip, hitting her shoulder and causing blood to spray. She lunged at him, the knife stabbing straight at his chest. Zane spun around, grabbing her wrist and twisting it back, the knife clattering on the tiles. The two engaged in hand-to-hand combat. Sable used Russian martial arts, landing a series of punches to Zane's face. Blood streaming from his nose. He countered with a Muay Thai kick to her knee, causing Sable to buckle down. For Mira, Zane growled, landing a hook to her jaw, teeth flying. Sable struggled, grabbing his leg and pulling him down. The two rolling down the sloped roof. Zane used his strength to stop, grabbing her hair and forcing her face into the tiles. "Where is Vesper?" Sable laughed. "Bloodied. In the meeting room on the 3rd floor. But you will die first." She pulled a hidden knife from her shoe, stabbing it stealthily into Zane's thigh. Blood sprayed. He screamed in pain, pushing her off the roof, the sound of her impact echoing. Sable clung to the edge of the roof. Zane stood up, blood soaking his pants. He didn't kill her but pulled her up, tying her hands with rope. "Live, but warn Vesper, justice is coming." Sable growled. "You will regret this." Zane jumped down to the balcony, moving to the 3rd floor. Dravenvoss panicked in the meeting room, pulling out a handgun and firing wildly when he saw him. "Mom." "He's here." Vesper ordered the agents to rush in. Gunfire erupting. Zane rolled behind a wooden table, dodging bullets, firing back with a silencer, taking down 2 agents with blood splattering. Riven Slade charged in with a stun baton. Zane dodged, kicking the baton away, then punching Riven in the face, causing him to fall. Draven escaped through the back door, calling for help from his mother, Mom. "Send more troops." He took down Sable. Vesper panicked, urgently calling contacts in France. "Send a special forces team from the Ministry of the Interior. The conspiracy is exposed." She did not know this would complicate matters. The special forces had an insider from Shadowvale who would indirectly help Zane. Zane chased after Draven through the hallway, taking down another agent with a knife to the shoulder, blood staining the marble floor. Draven hid in the server room, locking the door. Zane hacked it open, stepping inside. "It's over." "Draven," he begged, "spare me, my mum will pay." Zane pressed the gun. "Not for money, it's justice for victims like Mira." He didn't shoot, but hacked the server, downloading the final data, then dousing it with chemicals. A small fire ignited, but enough to destroy. Eden and Jax landed in Paris, receiving chaotic news from the Montmartre mansion. They rushed in with the Interpol team, gunfire still ringing. "Zane is in there," Eden said, her heart racing. Jax checked. Vesper called for government assistance, a larger conspiracy involving corruption in France. Eden clenched her gun. "We have to get in, save Zane, or catch Vesper." The mansion was engulfed in smoke. Zane emerged from the fire room, disappearing through the back door. Draven screamed in the flames. Vesper escaped with Riven. The battle escalated. Zane knew Vesper would call for more troops, but he had the data, and Eden was getting closer. Smoke and flames from the server room of the Montmartre mansion rose high into the night sky of Paris. Zane Drift dashed through the back garden, leaping over a low iron fence. His body aching from the stab wound in his thigh. Blood soaked his pants. But he didn't stop, running into a narrow cobblestone alley, the cold wind cutting against his face. Draven Voss screamed in the flames. Vesper Kane fled with Riven Slade. They were not dead. And Zane knew they would reinforce their forces. He stopped behind a colorful graffiti wall, panting, checking the final data, USB evidence of Vesper using senator funds to launder fraudulent money, implicating the French government. Shadow Vale sent a message: Vesper has called in the French Special Forces. Eden Quill is on her way. She could be an ally. Zane clenched his fist, his gaze scanning the darkness. Ally. Or enemy, he whispered, drawing his dagger. Ready. Eden Quill and Jax Hale sped towards the mansion, the sound of Interpol sirens echoing through the old streets of Montmartre. Thick black smoke billowed. Firefighters battling the flames. Bodies of agents lying scattered. Eden stepped out of the car, her heart pounding. Drawing her gun, Zane did this, but Vesper escaped. Jax examined the scene, spotting Sable Nix tied up on the roof. Her face bruised. She's alive, says Zane went south, into the city. Eden tightened her grip on the gun, her heart in turmoil. She remembered her mother, Mira Lune. A victim of greed, Zane was doing what she dreamed of, but beyond the law. We have to find him before the French Special Forces arrive. He has the data we need. Jax nodded. But the deputy director has ordered his capture. He's dangerous. Eden shook her head. No. He is justice. Split up and search. They dispersed into the Paris night. Eden heading south, following the blood trail Zane had left behind. Zane moved through a small park near Sacré-Cœur, the dense trees shielding him from the moonlight. He sat behind a bush, bandaging the stab wound with torn fabric from his shirt. Pain radiating. The sound of light footsteps echoed, not agents, but familiar. Eden Quill emerged from the darkness, her gun aimed straight at him. Zane, Drift, stop. He slowly stood up, hands raised, his somber gaze meeting hers. Eden, are you here to arrest me? His voice was deep but sharp. Eden hesitated, her finger trembling on the trigger. She remembered his words at the Seattle cafe, the law is slow. Now, in the Paris night. She saw him, the lonely man, scarred, fighting for her mother. Why are you doing this, my mother? She deserves justice, but not with blood. Zane lowered his hand slowly. Vesper Kane is covering everything up. She uses her senator power to protect Draven, laundering fraudulent money through France. This USB proves it. Transactions, victim names, even your mother. He gently tossed the USB towards her. Eden caught it, conflicting emotions surging within her. She lowered her gun halfway. The FBI could use this. But you killed people. Zane shook his head. I took them down. Not indiscriminately. Vesper is consolidating at the mansion. The French Special Forces are coming. I can't do this alone. Let's work together. Eden. For Mira. Eden clenched her fists, tears welling up. She remembered her mother's smile, the pain of loss. Jax called over the radio. Eden. What's your location? The Special Forces are arriving. She turned off the radio, nodding. Okay. But on my terms, no more killing. Zane smiled faintly. Your way. They plunged into the night, reluctantly coordinating, heading towards the mansion. The Montmartre mansion now resembled a fortress, the French Special Forces surrounding it, searchlights sweeping the area. Vesper Kane shouted orders from the safe room. Shoot anyone who approaches. Draven trembled beside her. Riven Slade leading the mercenaries. Zane and Eden hid in the back garden. He whispered, "I'll jam the security. You follow." He activated the device. The camera's going dead. They slipped through the fence. Zane took down the first agent with a silent chokehold. Eden followed. Gun ready. Inside the hallway, Riven Slade charged in with a handgun, Drift, and you. FBI, the battle erupted, Riven fired wildly. Zane dodged. Pushing Eden behind a stone column, he lunged into close combat. Riven swung a fist. Zane blocked, delivering a powerful kick to his stomach. The heavy thud echoing. Riven countered with a hook, blood spilling from Zane's mouth. Eden fired a warning shot, "Stop," but Riven laughed. Drawing a knife and lunging at her, Zane jumped in front, the knife clashing against his dagger. Sparks flying. The two wrestled, Riven stabbed horizontally. Zane dodged, landing a series of punches to his chest. The sound of cracking ribs ringing out. Riven buckled, but swept Zane's legs out from under him. Eden lunged in. Using handcuffs to restrain Riven alive, Zane stood up, nodding your way. They moved deeper, taking down more agents with smoke and close combat. Zane used martial arts, kicking a gun away from one, knocking another out with blood spilling on the floor. Eden shot to incapacitate another, avoiding killing. Draven Voss panicked in the meeting room, pulling out a gun. "Don't come near, Zane," dodged the bullet, rushing in to twist his arm. The gun falling. Eden aimed her gun, Draven Voss. "You are under arrest." Vesper Kane appeared from a secret door. "Surrounded by special forces, Ms. Quill, the FBI has betrayed," Eden growled. "His evidence exposes you. Corruption. Fraud. It's over." Vesper ordered an attack. Agents rushing in. The climax of close combat, Zane took down one with a steel punch to the face. Blood spraying. Eden dodged a knife, kicking another in the knee. The sound of breaking bones ringing out. Zane struggled with two agents, using the rope like a whip, hitting one in the face. Vesper tried to escape, but Eden caught up, grabbing her arm. "Stop," Vesper laughed. "You don't know who you're dealing with." She pulled out a small gun, grazing Eden's shoulder, blood flowing. Zane lunged at Vesper, pushing her down, handcuffing her with his rope. The mansion fell silent, the smoke and flames dying down. Jax and the Interpol team burst in Eden. Eden panted, looking at Zane. "Thank you, but you have to go to court." Zane shook his head. "Justice is done. Keep the USB, take down the entire network." He jumped through a window, disappearing into the Paris night. Eden clutched the USB, her heart heavy. Jax asked, "Let him go." She nodded. "He saved us." But deep down, she knew Zane would not stop if Vesper had allies. He would return. The Paris sky was brightening, but the shadow of justice still loomed. The dim streetlights of Montmartre shone down on the wet cobblestone streets. Zane Drift plunged into the darkness, his feet moving lightly through the narrow alley. The cold Paris wind cutting against his skin. The stab wound in his thigh throbbed painfully, blood soaking his pants. But he did not stop. Vesper Kane and Draven Voss had escaped with Riven Slade, reinforcing their forces at a secondary mansion near the Seine River. Shadow Veil sent an encrypted message. "Vesper has called in the French Special Forces for reinforcements. Draven is seriously injured, but they have a plan to clean up the data. Eden Quill is analyzing the USB. She could help." Zane clenched his fist, his icy gaze scanning the darkness. He knew this was the final battle. Justice for Mira Loon must be fulfilled, no matter the cost. Eden Quill stood in the ruined mansion, smoke still lingering. Tightly holding the USB that Zane had thrown, Jax Hale checked. This data, fraudulent transactions, money laundering through France. linked to Vesper and the government. The deputy director confirmed capture them. But Zane is the target. Eden shook her head, her heart in turmoil. She remembered Zane jumping through the window, his eyes heavy with sadness. He saved us. Jax pulled her. Eden. The French special forces are coming. Vesper is hiding at the Sen mansion. We must act. Eden nodded. Drawing her gun, I will find Zane. Collaborating with him, the only way to take down Vesper quickly. They sped into the night. Eden sending a covert message to Shadowvale Zane. Meet at the Alexandra III Bridge. Final collaboration. Zane arrived at the Alexandra III Bridge. The Seine shimmering under the yellow lights. The wind carrying the cold scent of the river. He hid behind a bronze statue, waiting. The sound of light footsteps echoed. Eden appeared alone, her black coat concealing her FBI badge. Zane, the USB proves everything. Vesper is laundering money for the network. Draven is running the scam. But we need to capture him alive, not kill. Zane stepped out, his gaze resolute. Vesper has special forces protecting him. You alone are not enough. Collaborate. I'll lead. You capture. Eden hesitated, her finger brushing the gun. All right. For my mother. They plunged into the night. Zane riding an old motorcycle. Eden following behind, heading towards the riverside mansion. The Seine mansion resembled a fortress, with tall electric fences, French special forces patrolling with rifles, and barking guard dogs. Vesper Kane was in the safe room, his face pale. Drift is coming, Riven. Send a team to intercept. Draven lay on the bed, his wound bandaged. Mother. Kill him. Riven Slade nodded, leading the mercenaries into the garden. Zane and Eden hid by the riverbank. He whispered, I'll disrupt security. You follow. Don't kill indiscriminately. He activated the device. Cameras went down, and the dogs fell silent. They sneaked through the fence. Zane took down the first Special Forces agent with a silent chokehold, dragging the body into the river. Eden followed, her heart racing. Inside the garden, Riven Slade charged with a hunting knife. Drift, this time you die. The fight erupted. Riven slashed horizontally. Zane dodged. The knife clashed and sparked. Eden aimed her gun. Stop, but the mercenaries rushed in. Gunfire erupted. Zane pushed Eden behind a bush, dodging bullets. Engaging in close combat, one thug swung a punch. He blocked, delivering a hard kick to the knee. A cracking sound echoed. The second thug wielded a stun baton. Zane dodged, twisted the arm back, then landed a hook that sent blood flying. Riven slashed vertically. Zane avoided it, countering with a steel punch to the chest. Riven staggered back, gasping. Eden shot to incapacitate a mercenary's leg. Avoiding a kill, capture alive. The climax surged in the mansion's hallway, the crystal chandelier shaking under the gunfire. Draven Voss panicked, pulling a handgun from the bed, firing wildly towards the door. Zane burst into the room, dodging a bullet that grazed his shoulder, grabbing Draven's hand and twisting it back. It's over. Draven, he pleaded, spare me money. Anything. Zane growled. It's not about money, it's about Mira's life. He knocked him down, binding his hands. Vesper Kane appeared from a secret door. Special forces surrounding Ms. Quill. Betraying the FBI, Eden rushed forward. You are under arrest. We have full evidence. Vesper ordered an attack. The special forces charged in. The fierce battle raged. Zane took down one thug with a Muay Thai kick to the chest. A heavy thud sounded. Eden dodged a knife, using self-defense to punch another in the face. Blood gushed from his nose. Zane struggled with two Special Forces agents, using a rope like a whip, hitting one in the shoulder. Vesper seized the opportunity, pulling out a small gun and shooting Zane. The bullet lodged in his shoulder. Blood sprayed. He staggered for a moment but sprang up, lunging to grab her. Justice for the victims, Vesper laughed maniacally. I am power, she secretly stabbed with a knife from her sleeve. Zane dodged late. The knife grazed his belly. Blood pouring, Eden charged in. Using handcuffs to restrain Vesper stop, the mansion fell silent. The gun smoke dissipating. Jax and the Interpol team burst in Eden. Zane is injured. Eden turned to Zane. He leaned against the wall. Blood pooling on the floor. It's over. Justice for Mira. He squeezed her hand. Use the data. Take down the entire network. Eden's eyes filled with tears. You have to live. Go to court. Testify. But Zane shook his head, giving a faint smile. I am a ghost. Justice doesn't need a name. He pushed her away, jumping through the broken window, plunging into the cold Seine, disappearing beneath the dark waters. Eden screamed Zane, but he was lost. Only the sound of waves remained. The next morning, Eden reported to the FBI. Vesper and Draven have been arrested. The network has collapsed. Thousands of victims have received justice. Jax asked. Zane. Eden gazed at the shimmering Seine. Hey. Disappeared. But perhaps he is still out there. Watching. Vesper shouted from prison. He will come back. Eden clenched her fists, her heart heavy. Justice has won. But the line is blurred. Is Zane a hero or a ghost? Paris was silent, but the echoes of revenge still resonated.